In order to effectively get people on a call or responding to emails, you got to A, show them you know them. You've got to do a bit of research.
What have you seen that's really sort of blown your socks off? They go, this is really going to help me in my prospecting versus this is a bit gimmicky.
There's been some cases where I've seen some sellers, they're using the AI to pull triggers.
Talk to me about triggers.
A trigger is an event. In this episode, you're going to learn why you need to stop wasting your time prospecting and how you should do it.
So Louis, this is a topical one here where we're talking about, a little bit of a hook line with the title, but first tell us the wrong way. How are people doing prospecting the wrong way at the moment versus how they should be doing prospecting?
Yeah, so it's an interesting equation, right? Because in one part of it, in order to effectively get people on a call or responding to emails, you got to A, show them you know them. You've got to do a bit of research, yeah? You've got to create a relevant point of view. You've got to give a trigger, why they should care about what you're sharing with them. But on the other part, what we often see is people waste too much time researching. So you go, well, how the fuck did this work? You want me to research and show them I know them, but then you don't want me to research. What do I mean by that? Is don't spend hours researching a prospect, right, early in the funnel, because what's going to happen is you're going to spend too much time researching. And there's a good probability when you first reach out to someone, they ain't going to respond to you anyway. They're not going to pick up your phone. It's like an 80% pickup rate, right? So when you actually do pick up the phone, most of the time, or 80%, in some cases 90%, depending on the market, won't answer the phone anyway, right? So your first engagement with them is a voicemail. It could be a text message. Then you're going to send the email. Again, most emails aren't responded to first time anyway. It's usually taking 3 or 4 emails in order to get a response. So is the research important? Yes, it is. But this is where we've just got to do high level research first.
Well, give me an example. How long would you spend? Is the message slightly generic, just doing a pain point item? What would you do?
Yeah, good point. So the time that I spend researching is once I've booked a meeting. So once I've booked a meeting and I've got a call with someone, I'm absolutely spending at least 15 to 20 minutes, sometimes more, doing my research in making sure the questions I craft during that discovery meeting are really on point. Why? Because the majority of our deals, Dave, that we've worked on have been quite material, yeah? 50, 100, 500 million, $5 million deals. So you want to be able to spend the time really, because that's a key part of the sales process. But prior to that, you could literally do within 2 to 3 minutes. And again, this is where the right way, get your ICP, really niche out. What's your ideal customer profile? So if you're targeting universities, I'll give you an example. At the moment, I was looking at a payroll report it's called payroll assurance. You're thinking, what the fuck is this? But I'll go through it. Payroll assurance. There's been a number of universities that have not paid, underpaid. I'm not saying anything that's commercially in confidence. You can go on a website, an Australian government website, and it will show you the companies that have underpaid, right? So that would say you got an ICP. ICP, universities, these are the audience of people that have underpaid. All right, that's looking like a trend. It's a problem for that sector, right? Because it's quite a complex equation for most organizations is payroll. There's different states, etc. Got the ICP, I've got a problem statement, yeah, for that ICP. So what are you doing in your list? You're segmenting your list. You might get 50 universities and go, great, I've got the persona, chief financial officer. They know they're worried about X problem. It's a problem affecting the industry. I've got a really good reason to be reaching out. So now that's my hook, right? You can do that for anything. The hook could be recently changed CFOs. If it's a trigger and you're looking to engage with a CFO or a CEO or a chief sales officer, it doesn't matter the role, that could be a trigger.
And you're doing that in the email, in the call.
Yeah.
Like in all those channels. The reason for my call.
Yep. Because again, I know the ICP, I know the persona, and I've got a hypothesis around the problem statement. That's really, really important. No problem, no sale. No problem, no action. So I need to be reaching out to them to say, hey, this is what I'm hearing is a problem for your industry at the moment, right? It's a relevant problem. Now, if the problem is relevant for them, usually 70%, if you've done your research well, 70% of the people that you're reaching out to are facing that problem. If they happen to fit into the 30% that aren't, that are like, I don't have this problem. I'll give you an example. We reach out to a chief marketing officer or a chief revenue officer. We talk about, Dave, what do we talk about? We want to help them increase conversion rate. We want to help them increase the time or decrease the time it takes to close a deal. And we want to help them lower the cost per acquisition. So sort of 3 key things that we help organizations with, yeah? If they've got no issue in those 3 areas, and they don't need to meet with us. That's A-okay, right? We've qualified them out of our pipeline, yeah? So it's A-okay that if there's a portion of the market that there's no fit, that's fine. I'd rather determine there's no fit earlier in the stage of the sales process, yeah? But again, that's why it's important to define your ICP, be clear on your persona, know that that particular sector has a particular problem statement, and then I can start to reach out with them. I'll then do a little bit of research on the individual prospect, jump on LinkedIn, have a look at their profile, see if there's been any job changes, right? See if they've hired a payroll manager, if that's the actually reason I'm reaching out. You're going to do a little bit of pragmatic research. Again, it's 2 minutes. If you've got AI, just chuck it in Copilot, chuck it in ChatGPT. You can get a whole bunch of information about that individual as well, but it shouldn't take you too long. If you build your prompts, and there's all these other tools, Dave, like you've got now tools that are building this on scale in Google Sheets. I say, look, that's great. Put that aside for a moment. Don't try to automate something that you haven't done yourself. If you can't do it yourself first on a batch of clients or a batch of prospects, based on ICP, based on persona, getting your messaging right, if you can't do that, don't try to automate it. Because all that's going to happen is you're going to try to automate it. It's going to give you a lot of stuff, and then you're going to execute. It's not going to work.
You're going to burn that list.
Correct. So again, this is where a lot of people are going wrong when it comes to AI, et cetera. They're trying to say, right, let me get so efficient in something that you're not good at anyway. Get good at it first, and then find it. It's like a sequencing tool. CRM, we've seen it all before. Don't try to automate and make you more efficient in something you haven't been able to execute yourself well.
Where have you seen it done amazingly well? Like, and especially on the AI side, like what have you seen that's really sort of blown your socks off? They go, this is really going to help me in my prospecting versus this is a bit gimmicky.
Yeah, I have liked seeing, there's been some cases where I've seen some sellers, they're using the AI to pull triggers. I actually saw one last week, which was really cool. He's got something searching for certain triggers, right?
Talk to me about triggers.
A trigger is an event. Like it could be an economic event, it could be the federal budget, it could be a person changing role, it could be certain acquisitions. So he's got something looking for triggers.
Yep.
And when that occurs, it's pinging him, and it's actually, he's got it's effectively helping him build his target list, right? It's awesome. So
let's give him that point of view to reach out to that individual. Correct. Based on that trigger event.
Correct. Based on what's happening in market. It's like, thinking of intent data, but he's essentially searching for certain things. It's to do with very complex topic in the finance sector, but he's using it exceptionally well. And what I was really interested, because we often hear that people that 50-year-old, 60-year-old don't embrace technology. Mate, this guy's 60 and he's leveraging this tool, and I didn't even know about it. So this is why we as sellers need to ensure that we're engaging with all sales professionals at every age, because we can learn stuff new. This is why we've got to have an always be learning mindset, right? Because for me, that was massive. Seeing the way he did that, pulled his triggers, and he's got an incredible conversion rate once he reaches out. Like I'm talking 50% of people he's reaching out to are booking meetings, man.
That's awesome.
It's fucking hectic.
And what would you say, if you're listening to this and you might be a victim of it, the one thing that you just got to stop today in your prospecting process?
Stop overthinking it. Remember, you miss, what does he say? 100% of the shots you don't take, right? So you've got to just at some point pick up the phone, craft the email, send it. And the other big thing about this is make sure you're leveraging multiple channels. So with any of your prospecting plays, don't just be single point or double point. Don't just be phone and email. Use LinkedIn, right? Use text message. Text message is key. We had this again last week. One of our friends at Grant Thornton, somebody was ghosting him. He literally sent a text message, and within 2 minutes, he got a response. 2 minutes. The guy said, mate, I'm in Sweden. Back next week. Let's catch up next week.
Love that. And on that note, if you want to dive deeper into cold calling, because we understand it's a bit of a taboo topic with a lot of people, just look back. We've got the link in this episode now where we cover the secrets to mastering cold calling.